All right, next, our buddies from AZFirearms are right here in studio. It's on next.
This is Get Outdoors with Mike Russell, KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
All right, on Facebook.com/Get Outdoors AZ, on Twitter @Get Outdoors AZ, and on Instagram, Get Outdoors AZ. Making it simple, kids. Making it simple. Get on there. Follow us. Check things out. Lots of fun going on. Our family from AZFirearms is here with us, Dan and Cheryl Todd. So I'm going to ask the very simple question because, quote, inquiring minds do want to know, why do gun people want to carry a gun?
Well, there's lots of reasons, so we're going to kind of break them down.
Yes.
I brought a list.
Okay, good. I like lists.
I'm a huge fan of lists, and lots of different ways of asking that question are on this list. But I think the first thing is, how are you asking me that? Because some people will ask it sort of looking down the end of their nose.
Why would you carry a gun? That's the police's job. That kind of thing? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
How'd you like that?
I thought that was quite...
Thank you very much. My Thurston Howell. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank
the
you,
crowd
Lovey.
goes wild,
yes.
right? And then other people will ask it in all sincerity. Like, I don't know why.
Yeah, teach me, feed me.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And then other people are genuinely, they're searching themselves. Like, why do you want to own a gun? Because maybe that helps me understand why I might need to own a gun. And so really we're going to address probably the latter two. But the article that I printed out, my list, is from Masad Ayub. And I don't know how many of our listeners know who that is, but what a cool name.
Bree just lit up like you said Santa Claus. So she knows that. She knows the man. All right.
Well, for 40 years, this guy has been a tactical instructor, a firearms and self-defense instructor. And I mean, he's been in law enforcement. He's done so much stuff. And so his article, he answers everybody kind of through the lens of they were probably being the Thurston Howell version of, just too smarmy and they're too elite to even imagine lugging around a piece of firepower. And so a couple of his answers are a little funny. So as we go through, I might throw a couple of his out. But I thought it'd be fun if the three of us who are firearms owners, and we've come at it from different places in our lives at different times in our lives. This is where Dan gets to use his catchphrase. How long have you been owning guns?
Bring
Dan?
it, Dan.
Since I was sucking thumbs and selling guns.
Sucking thumbs and selling guns.
And selling guns. I swear we got to get the T-shirt made up because that is next level awesome.
Only
right
Dan
there.
could even get away with saying something like that.
That's the way it was back then.
Right. But I'll start with you, Cheryl, if I could. So then why do you? And you know me, you know exactly why I'm asking the question. I'm not looking over my nose at you. I'm not being snotty about it. Why do you carry a gun?
For me, it's about preparedness.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. End of story. Because you just don't know what could happen.
Right.
Now, I don't live looking for trouble. I'm not constantly looking around every single corner expecting bad guys. But I've lived long enough. I watch all the news stations, not just Fox.
Check you out.
Right?
You fair and balanced woman, you.
Right? And yeah, I'm just fairly aware of the madness that people inflict upon one another and the odd and unusual and unexpected situations that can happen. And what I really like to compare it to is wearing a seatbelt. That's
a great comparison.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm a safe driver, but I don't know what I'm going to encounter when I pull out of my driveway. What other drivers are out there and how are they going to behave? You
know, I always say that, and I've said this a bunch on air, that driving along the 51, the 202, the 10 is the most dangerous thing you will ever do in your life. You're getting into a multi-thousand-pound, 75-mile-an-hour rocket, and you are relying on everyone else to do their job and to act accordingly to the rules of the road and be safe. There's a trust there that you trust everyone else is doing the same. Same with walking around the city, the streets, your neighborhood, whatever. You are trusting that everyone else is going to be there on their own accord and not there for any nefarious purposes, right?
Exactly.
So It's the same thing. That's why I love the seatbelt analogy. You still put your seatbelt on. You still do, but you still have to trust everyone else around you. It's the same just out in public. You trust everyone else around you, but why not? No, doesn't hurt to have a gun.
Right. And then Dan actually kind of has a more dramatic answer, I think, to that question.
Well, basically, the criminal has the advantage because they know what they're going to do. You don't know until it happens. They're planning it, so that just gives you that advantage of being prepared.
Right.
So
yeah, a bad guy is going to use every conceivable advantage he or she has. Huh? See how I get that?
Yes.
He or she.
Nice. Well played.
Fair and balanced.
Yes.
But Dan has actually been arm robbed.
Yes, I was armed robbed, and I was ready. I was prepared, and we were able to stop the robbers. So, that's why I carry a gun.
I mean, it made all the difference.
Sure.
Yeah.
You could conceive it made
Sure.
all the difference between him being able to sit here today, being a father, being my husband for the past 30 years, because this happened before we met, and
Grandfather too.
grandfather.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
little
Very
Ray.
cool. Be proud
Almost
of that. Yeah.
One,
I
by
know.
The way.
How about that?
This time next week she'll
That's
be
right.
1 year old.
And there's people that are bigger than I am and stronger, and
No matter how big you are,
Right.
there's always someone bigger. No
That's
matter how
right.
strong you are,
So-
there's always someone stronger. I understand it. For me, for myself, it's a tool. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
what about the guy in D.C. that was
what it is.
stabbed?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Wouldn't
No
he
one
have
can-
liked
But it's
to
D.C., So, and that was my answer when we talked about what Dan is alluding to is the 4th of July event on the public train in D.C. that a man just he started stabbing another man to death right in front of about a dozen other people, and everybody just stood and watched. He robbed 2 other people, and then on the next stop just walked off the train.
How did that happen?
But that was my answer. I was like, of course I would have pulled my firearm, but in D.C. I would not have because
Right.
I wouldn't have been able to have one.
Right. Gun-free zones don't mean crime-free zones.
Sure.
Because people will inflict damage on each other.
But I have
however
a
they
different
need to.
I have a different view of this, and keep in mind we're gonna talk with Pat McMahon in the next hour, and it's I wanted to share our conversations with all of you, and we have these civil, respectful, fun conversations about firearms. He's not anti-firearm, doesn't own a gun. I'm very pro-firearm. For me, my guns are tools. My guns have a specific purpose. I love it when people go and shoot guns just for fun. I think that's awesome. I think it's great that people shoot guns for fun. I don't do that a lot. I don't do that a lot at all. If I shoot my guns, it's for practice for that specific life event that I have that tool for. So whether it's security, I'm going to treat that tool, I'm going to shoot that tool as if I'm defending myself. If the majority of my firearms are for hunting, so I'm going to shoot that as if I am hunting something. That's just me. So if somebody asks me, why do I have guns? Well, which one? Ask me and I'll tell you exactly why I have that weapon. Right. That's why. Excuse me. I said weapon. That's exactly why I have that tool. That is. And that's and for me, it's not I'm not ashamed of it. I'm very proud of it. But the majority of mine are for hunting. I have 2 security tools and that's it. And that's one that my wife likes to fire, one that I like to carry with me. There we go.
Exactly.
Just like that. Yeah.
The second question that is asked on his article is, but aren't you worried that if more people carry guns, more arguments will escalate into people being shot and killed?
More arguments will... How asinine is that question? How seriously, I have been in darn near fist fights. Let me pull the curtain back. I like to fight. I do. I enjoy
Scrappy.
it. I am a little bit scrappy. I have gotten into very, very close to physical altercations with other hunters. This is out in the Midwest, out in Missouri. When I have a 270 or a 30-06 over my shoulder, never once. I don't even think the other guy. We never did we think we're going to pull these off our shoulders and point them at each other.
Right.
We're handling this like men, and we're going to get this down to bits. We're not going to go to guns over the whole thing, and we're well armed, and we have the capabilities to do that. But never would an argument turn into a gunfight because I have a gun. That is asinine.
Thank you for all of that. And I'm going to expound on that in 2 ways. One is I'm going to go back to the seatbelt analogy.
Okay.
So do people drive more recklessly when they have their seatbelts on?
I'm not a very safe driver. You're looking at the wrong guy. Ask Dan.
Dan, do you drive? Dan, you're on the spot. Do you drive more recklessly when you have your seatbelt on? The answer's no.
I'm confused. What's a seatbelt?
Oh, here we go.
No, I do not drive more recklessly.
Right.
Well, so there's that. And the other thing that I feel was kind of an interesting and important story that could have been expounded on is not so long ago, this group came to Phoenix. They had their art contest where it was Draw the Prophet Muhammad.
Prophet Muhammad. Yeah, right.
There were hundreds
Yes.
of fully, heavily armed people
Yep.
lined up across the street from,
The mosque.
okay,
Uh-huh.
and other people.
Sure.
There was tension in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, you could feel it. You could cut it with a spoon.
It was a foregone conclusion that it was going to be a gunfight.
Right.
If you asked anybody that morning, it was a foregone conclusion. People are going to die tonight because there's going to be so many people there with firearms.
And I was so proud
Amen.
of the firearms community and the responsible demonstration. Not that they needed to go out there with them necessarily.
Yeah,
I'm not
forget about the
supporting that.
reason they were there.
But it was
yeah.
such a visual of people can be tense, they can be upset, they can be fully armed, and look, nobody
Right.
did anything inappropriate with those firearms. I was really excited about that, and I know that the rest of the story was the bigger focus, but as a gun store owner, as a firearms owner, I really was very proud of that, the results of all of that.
You know, we have a text that came into 411-923, and always your text. Just bring your questions are great here. Said, I remember my dad having a rifle rack in the cab of the back of his truck. Now I don't see them anymore. Is it illegal now?
No, it's not illegal. It's just, I guess people don't want to tear their guns up because they bounce around in the back of that rack.
Okay, no, that's a good point. But I would say and it's not illegal. But and thank you, Sean from Mesa. We appreciate the question. But what I would say, I don't want to advertise. I don't want people to break my window anymore. Back in the day, that was just kind of part of the game, and people didn't worry about their firearm being stolen out of their car. I'm not going to advertise that I have a firearm in my car. I don't want to.
No, I agree with that. And you guys, well, Dan, I know for sure, is of the age that he used to be able to. Sorry, did I just call him old? What just happened?
Slammed him under a bus.
Oh, no.
Let me get my cane.
Okay.
My cane.
So there was a time in history. I don't know. I'm getting worse. I'm digging a hole.
Let's move on with the story,
he
please.
could come onto his high school property
Yeah.
with the gun in the gun rack in the truck, and nobody thought there was anything weird. They just thought, oh, Dan's going hunting after school.
Yeah. We had a rack on the truck then, and the gun stayed on the rack while we're in school.
Yeah, and nowadays, I think it was end of last year we saw this, was fishing equipment. Guy had his tackle box in there. He had a fillet knife in there. Got suspended from school.
Oh, come on.
Because of a fillet knife in his tackle box. In his truck in the parking lot.
Maybe they have an aquarium in the school.
Well, here we go. See, this is if they have an aquarium, there's some good fish in there. Tell me where that school is, please. Holy mackerel! All right, why in the world? Why do people own firearms? We're talking with our family from AZFirearms. More with this next.
Get outdoors with Mike Russell, KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Why don't you get over to azfirearms.com. Check this out. I went to hang out with Dan yesterday because, they're right up the road, and I like hanging out with Dan. And here's what I did. I ended up actually buying a new 22 semi-auto. It was beautiful. The reason why, by the way, is I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but a member of my family, I don't know what was it. Just let's just say he took back the 22 LR that I had, and so I was out. I'm missing a member of my firearm family.
That's not okay.
I had to replace that, and I just walked out. I just wanted to go in and say hi, maybe pick up some ammo, and I walked out there very proud of this firearm because it's so cool when you hear Dave Ramsey say it's the Floyd's. Floyd, thank you. The Floyd's Barbershop of gun store. It really is because I'm walking in there. I'm cutting it up with these guys. We're having a blast, and we're I'm even laughing at Mark, by the way, who any football scout would look at this guy and say, I don't care how old he is. I want him to play for my team.
Right?
This is a big boy,
Mark Brown.
right?
Yeah.
So we're trying.
One of our staff members.
So we're
He's
trying to
awesome.
pull the Ruger 22 that I got was it had a interchangeable grip on it, right? And this guy's trying to get that thing out of to pull it, and this giant man is just trying to pull this thing apart. And I had no problem because it's just such a comfortable atmosphere.
Right.
I started clowning him for not being able to pull that thing off. You want to get Cheryl out here to help? I think you said that. Do you want to get Cheryl out here to help you? Yeah. But I'm proud of I appreciate the effort and the fun, and everybody was just, nobody was saying, you have to have this one. This is the one you have to have. It was they never gave that advice until I looked them in the eye and said, which one? You're buying it today. Which one of these two? Because I was torn between two, and they gave me their advice, their opinion, not you have to, and it was just such a great experience. So very, very
Awesome.
excited. Very,
Thank you.
very excited to get out there and shoot that. Anyway, why in the world, why would you ever have a gun? This is our topic today. And by the way, we're going to talk about guns the rest of the show. I'm going to throw it out there right now. We're talking about guns the rest of the show. We're going to talk with Pat McMahon about guns. We're going to keep Dan around. We're going to talk about the background check system that seemed to have failed those poor people in Charleston, South Carolina. So we'll talk about that a little later too. Cheryl, you're up.
I'm up. Okay. So what people are always spouting off about statistics. So if you have a gun in your house, it's going to be 43% more chance that somebody in your family is going to get injured with it than you're ever going to stop crime with it, whatever.
My wife came to me with that.
Okay.
No lie. When we got married and I said we will have a firearm in the home, she came with that.
Okay.
And she grew up with a firearm in her house, so
Okay.
she was an anti, but she came to me with the same thing.
All right. And what did you say?
I said, it doesn't matter, we're having one.
This is why I like you.
Not
Okay.
to be a jerk, but
But
we're going to have one.
We did a survey. 90% of the statistics out there
Yeah.
aren't any good anyway.
Right.
So the surveys aren't good.
84.3% of statistics are made up on the spot.
Right.
There you go.
I like that. And truly, honestly, statistics can be sliced and diced to say anything that you want them to.
To fit your narrative, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Dan was saying something on the way in. He said, it's really true that if you don't have a gun in your house, then unless a bad guy brings one in, you're not going to have any injuries with a gun in your house. Just like you can't get in a car wreck on the I-10 if you never drive on the I-10 or you never get in a car. And so, some of these statistics,
It's a good point.
right, it's just whatever it's grounded in to begin with. So practicing the 10 commandments of safety is really your best bet for keeping everybody in your house safe.
There's 10 of them?
There's
10.
10.
Mark Janko was here last week, and he said there was 4. Doggone
There's
it. Where are the other
4
6 I need?
Commandments, though. These are commandments.
Commandments. I don't know this. Can
Thou
we
shalt
post this
not.
somewhere?
We're talking.
I
No, I'm being
can.
serious.
This
Can
is
we?
actually something I pulled up from the internet.
So it's got to be true. It's from
Probably.
the interwebs.
Actually,
Probably in Shooter's Bible. It's a commandment,
no, and I'm not going to read all 10, but I can definitely post it on the Facebook page.
Thank you.
And Michael share it.
Please
but
do it.
The point of it is, carrying your gun, transferring it unloaded, and storing it properly, and all these kinds of things. I love one of them. It says never climb a tree or a fence with a loaded gun. Okay, that's a commandment.
Okay, well that makes sense for hunters like me. And I'll be honest, I'm raising my hand. Broke a commandment. I've
Okay.
climbed up into a tree stand with a loaded 30 out on my back.
All right,
I've
so
done it.
you're in trouble.
I am in a lot of trouble.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but my point with these is that if you follow these commandments of gun safety, your gun will obey every single one that you do.
Isn't that funny? How guns don't have a mind of their own.
Right, 100% of the time. So there's a statistic that
There's
you
a
can
stat. Take that to the bank.
To the bank.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love
Thank
that.
you.
And it makes sense. And it's sad, though, and I'll be in this country. It's sad that we have to have a discussion on why.
Right.
It's as if someone were to ask you, why do you speak freely?
Right.
Right.
It's a simple answer. Because it's protected, because hundreds of thousands of men and women have laid down their lives for my ability to do so.
Why do you drink coffee?
Because I'm an American.
Yeah, but I don't
'Cause
like
America.
coffee. So, I mean, it's the same thing, though, really. It's terrible.
But that's the thing. So why do you have a gun? Why do you own a gun? because I like it. I think that shuts it all down. And I actually heard an Australian comedian talking about this, and I was belly laughing because it's so true. Because in Australia, can't have a gun.
Can't have a gun. Nope.
They took them away.
Yep.
Because somebody shot somebody up, so they said, well, we're not going to have that. And then away they go, and that's why ISIS shows up to Sydney.
And crime went way down, right?
Yeah, no.
No.
So, but anyway, he said, just say you like guns, and it's protected by your Constitution. Move on. Why do you have a gun? Because it's protected by the Constitution, and I like guns.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Period. I hunt,
right.
and it's protected by the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America, which hundreds of thousands of men and women have laid their lives down earning and defending pound sand. How about that?
How about that?
AZFirearms, Dan and Cheryl, thank you for hanging out with us. I appreciate it. Dan,
Always
I'm going to keep you here. He is the background check expert. I'm not kicking you out, Cheryl. You can hang out. I promise.
I can stay.
You can stay.
Because
she likes to take pictures.
That's true.
You can hold my cane.
Okay.
So the tragedy. We had breaking news yesterday about the shooter in South Carolina that he did purchase a firearm. He did fill out a background check, but he should not have been cleared by the background check system. What I want to do is just sift through what the background check system does so everybody knows the process and how this might have happened and what might happen moving forward. More with Dan Todd from AZ Firearms and azfirearms.com on Get Outdoors with Mike Russell, KTAR News.